Hello. Go ahead, come to a comfortable sitting position. If you have a blanket or a little pillow to sit on, you might want to sit on something to elevate the hips some to be more comfortable. Once you're there, you can sway a little side to side. You can circle around through the hips. You can change the direction of those circles, leaving out anything that doesn't work for your body. And that's true throughout the whole class, especially since this is more intermediate advanced. Go ahead, sway from side to side again. And then gently let yourself unwind into a place that feels balanced between the right and the left side. Here you could exhale and tilt your hips under. Inhale, tilt the hips back, doing small pelvic tilts, feeling the rigid bones, the sits bones at the base of the hips. And eventually coming to a place where the weight feels balanced right on top of your sits bones. Rest your hands someplace comfortable on your legs. Soften or close your eyes and turn inside. And just coming to the breath. So feeling the air on the nostrils, moving down through the windpipe, and feeling the lungs expanding out on the inhales and softening back in on the exhales. And just letting yourself connect to the flow of the breath in any way that works for you. You can lengthen and deepen the breath. You can balance out the inhales and the exhales, or do slightly longer exhales. You can come into Ujjayi, victorious breathing, but just letting yourself connect to the flow in a way that works for you. And just let yourself settle for a moment. Now I'm going to talk. So, I live in a place near a park where there are blue herons, and I love blue herons. They remind me of dinosaurs in the present day. And recently, during this, if you're watching this near the real time, it's during COVID. And so recently when I was going for a walk outside, I saw a blue heron fly overhead, which is unusual for my neighborhood, even though we're fairly near a park where there's one. And it just reminded me of the majesty of nature, of soaring things, and how even big things can fly. So today on the mat, we are going to play an approach with crane and with one-legged crane variations. So again, this is more of an intermediate advanced class. But I think there's something in this time, even though we may be forced to turn inside, or if you're watching this some other time and you're just having a moment of turning inside, where around the other things that might be going on, sometimes we can give ourselves this time to incubate and nurture the really big ideas and maybe let those fly too. So, if you want to play with me today, if you want to join the practice, we will start with 3 ohms. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart. Exhaling. Inhale deeply. Deep pull breath in, and then exhale, releasing your hands. Softly open your eyes. And then if you are sitting on something, you might want to move it over to the side and turn and face the narrow end of your mat. Feet about hip distance apart, soles of the feet on the ground or toes pointing straight up toward the sky. Holding on underneath your thighs, and always during class, feel free to modify anything that doesn't work for you. Inhale and sit up nice and tall. Exhale and round the back. Inhale, sit up nice and tall, lengthening. Exhale, round, drawing those low ribs in. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming down onto your back or just making your way to your back in a way that's appropriate for your body. Once you're on the back, hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking from side to side here. And then you can come to center, letting go of the knees and just drawing circles on the ceiling in one direction with the knees, massaging out the hips and low back a little bit. And then draw circles on the ceiling with the knees in the other direction. Feel the breath moving through you. And just connecting to yourself and connecting to the earth underneath you. Coming to center, lower the soles of the feet to the ground and feel the natural curves of the spine. The hips are heavy and pressing down. The low back above the hips is actually lifting up a little bit. The shoulders are pressing down. The neck is lifting up a little bit, an arch there. And the back of your head with your chin in neutral is pressing down. Then bring your hands to your low ribs and draw those low ribs down. Not so much that the low back flattens out, but so your core is nice and steady and engaged here. And as you keep on breathing fully and deeply, notice if your ribs are hugging in, you might have to find other places to move the breath into. So inhaling and feeling the core expanding out. Well, not the core, but the lungs expanding out. And then exhale, feel them drawing in, but keeping the core, the low ribs hugging in and steady. Okay. With your next exhale, go ahead and lift the feet up off the ground. And then keeping those low ribs hugging in, inhale, tap the right foot towards the front of the mat. Exhale and draw it back in. Inhale the left foot. Exhale, draw it back in. Inhale, right foot. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left foot. Exhale, back in. Warming up our center. Inhale, right foot. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left foot. Exhale, back in. Lower the feet to the ground. Stretch your arms up towards the ceiling, palms face in. And then here, inhale, press the shoulders into the ground. And exhale, lifting the shoulders away from the ground. So inhale, shoulder blades on the back, arm bones into the shoulder socket. Exhale, shoulders off the back, arm bones out of the shoulder socket. Inhale, shoulder blades on the back, keeping the shoulder blades on the back, low ribs engaged. Exhale, lift your feet up. And then with our next inhale, we're going to tap the left foot forward, reach the right arm back, low ribs stay hugging in. Exhale, back in. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale, back in. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Hold here. If you want to, you can straighten that left leg, but the low ribs stay engaged. Exhale, back in. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Low ribs stay hugging in, extending from the core out through the right foot, forward, out through the left hand. And then exhale, coming back in, hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball and gently rocking. Breathe. Come back to center here. Feet to the ground. Find the natural curves of the spine again, engaging the core. Hands, arms into a T position or a cactus position. Connecting down through the back of the head and shoulders. Exhale, again, lift the feet up. And we're going to twist from side to side, but I don't want you to drop the knees all the way down, even if you can. I want you to stay powerful in your core and exhale the knees over to the right side, left shoulder stays down. Inhale to center. Exhale the knees to the left side. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Just holding for a breath or two here. Feel your oblique muscles engaging. Breathe. And then inhale up to center. Exhale to the left. Your right shoulder stays rooted. Feel the breath moving through you. And then inhale up to center. Hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking from side to side. If you want to, you can engage your core even more. Lift head and shoulders up. You can keep rocking from side to side, or if you prefer, to roll front to back, you can do that, holding on underneath your knees and stopping before your neck, so stopping at your shoulders. When you're ready, make your way up to sitting, and then transition to all fours on the mat, coming to your hands and knees. Feel free to slide some padding underneath your knees if you'd like. Fingers spreading, nice and wide apart, shifting the weight towards the front of the hands. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, arch the back, head and tailbone up to the sky. So a few rounds of cat-cow. Exhale and rounding. Inhale and arching. And just become aware of what the back feels like when it's rounded versus when it's arching or when it's not rounded. Then exhale, go ahead and round. Feel those low ribs hugging in. Keep them hugging in. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Let the arm bones slide into the shoulder socket, shoulders on the back. Low ribs engaging. Curl the toes under with your next exhale. Lift the knees an inch or two off the ground. Inhale, lower them back down. Exhale, lift the knees up an inch or two. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift the knees up. Hold the knees lifted here. And then here, start to press your hips back, keeping the knees low at first, but they start to lift up as you stretch the hips back. And then slowly keep stretching back, letting the legs begin to straighten. But if your back starts to get pulled into a rounded position, then keep a bend in the knees. Then from here, you're going to exhale and bend the right knee more deeply, stretching out to the left leg and switching sides. So pedaling out the legs. You can move really any way that feels good for you in a downward facing dog. Then, looking forward at the hands, bend the knees, walk the feet forward towards the hands, and with your knees bent, bring your hands up to your thighs, to your knees. And then here, feet hip distance width apart, or so comfortable with, knees tracking towards second or third toe, and just stretch your spine long here. Exhale, round the back, again, just to notice the difference. And then inhale, extend the spine nice and long with your core engaged. Bring your hands to your hips. Keep stretching the spine out of the hips. And then exhale with your knees bent, pivoting at the hips, fold deeper forward. If it feels good to gently round the back, you can do so. And then if you want to, thinking of the top of the back of the legs, the back of your hips, inhale, start to lift the hips up higher. But as you do this and as the legs straighten, if you get pulled away from the legs, again, then keep more of a bend in the knees. Exhale, go ahead and bend the knees again. Inhale, lifting the back of the hips up higher. Exhale and bend your knees. Inhale, lift the back of the hips up higher. Exhale, you can release the hands to legs, blocks, or floor. Forward folding here. And again, feel free to have the knees bent, especially if you're getting yourself pulled away from the legs. Nice, full, deep breath. And then from here, inhale and lengthen. You might slide your hands up higher on the legs. Give yourself some more space. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees deeply. Big step back with your left foot. Lunge. Go ahead, bring both hands inside the right leg here. Right knee right on top of the ankle, tracking towards second or third toe. Press down through both feet, hug into your hips, and maybe just walk your hands a little bit in front of the shoulders and stretch your spine long here. Breathe. And then pressing strongly into that right foot. Slide the left foot forward. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. When you're ready, big step back with that right foot. Second side, both hands inside the left leg. Connecting down to the feet into the earth. Muscularly drawing into your pelvis, to your hips. And then expanding the spine out of the hips. Breathing here. If you like, you could also wiggle a little bit. So sometimes I like to move from side to side. Other times I like to hold still. Feel the breath moving through you. then as you're ready, stepping back, downward facing dog. With your next exhale, lower back to all fours. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, round the back. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, core, low ribs hug in. And then inhale, the right leg and the left arm stretch long, just like when we were on our back. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale and lower. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale and lower. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale and lower. One more time. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, lower. And then coming into a child's pose. Nice, full, deep breath. And just giving yourself that time to turn inside. Relaxation and turning inside is an important step for preparation. Breathe. When you are ready, make your way forward onto your belly. And from here, we will prop ourselves up on our elbows. Press down through your hips, stretch long through your legs, and then with your next inhale, feel the spine expanding out of the hips. Exhale, look at your belly and pull those low ribs up off the ground. Your hips can stay on the ground though. Inhale, keep the low ribs engaged, lifting back up through the chest. Exhale, looking at the navel, drawing those low ribs back even more. Inhale, keep them engaged, lifting up. Exhale and look down. One more time. Inhale, stretching long. And then exhale, lower back down and make your way back into the child's pose. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breath. Inhale, up to all fours. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, stretch the spine long, stretch the left leg back behind you. And then exhale, we're going to move the left knee towards the left arm, maybe even towards the left armpit. Inhale, left leg stretches long. Exhale, left knee towards the left armpit. Inhale, stretch back long. Exhale, left knee towards the left armpit. Lower the left leg down. And when you're ready, inhale, right leg stretches long. Exhale, right knee toward the armpit. Remember, it does not matter if the knee actually gets there or not. You're just moving it in that direction. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, right knee towards the right armpit. Go ahead, come back to all fours. Inhale, lengthen the spine long. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then from here, inhale, the left leg lifts up. Go ahead, keep your chest turning to the ground, but let your hips turn to the left side. And if you want to, from here, you can bend the left knee. Breathe. Looking forward at the hands, actually, for a moment here, go ahead and straighten the left leg. And keeping the left leg lifted up high, try to turn the hips to face back down. And as you do that, you'll have to let the left hip lower to be level with the right. And you'll also notice if you really strongly pull those right low ribs in, it helps. Breathe. And then with your next exhale, look forward at the hands and step the left foot forward towards the hands. Pressing strongly into your feet, getting that stability. When you're ready, exhale the hands up to that left knee. And as you lift the hands up, again, feel those low ribs moving back and in. Hugging in from your feet to your hips. If you want to, extending from those low ribs, hugging in up through the chest and the hands. Breathing here. If you would like, you can let the left thigh descend a little bit, coming deeper into the lunge. You also, depending on the shape of your hip, might need to let that right knee bend a little bit. That's fine. Breathing here. And then exhale, go ahead and lower the hands down, step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts up. Go ahead, turn your hips to the side, chest faces down, bending the right knee. Breathing here, stretching up, back out to that right knee. And then with your next exhale, go ahead, straighten that right leg and trying to keep the right leg high, but turning the hips down. So trying to turn the right knee, the right toes down, widening to the hips and drawing the left low ribs in. Then look forward at your hands and step the right foot forward towards the hands. Pressing strongly down into your feet. When you're ready, hands exhaling up to the right knee, low ribs hug in, and then from this, lifting the low ribs up away from the hips, feeling the whole juncture of the upper torso lifting up. The hands might reach up. And then from here, if you would like, the right thigh can descend, breathing. Nice full deep breaths. And then exhale, you can lower down. By the way, if it's hard for your hands to get to the ground, really most of the step forward is powered through the foot, so you could always not lower the hands down, but just using that right foot, pull the left foot forward. Fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms come wide, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connecting from the hips down into the earth. Feel the breath moving through you. And then exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Left hand can grab right wrist. Exhale, leaning over to the left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Act like you're sitting back in a chair. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Knees as wide apart as the feet as you exhale and inhale and bend those knees. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Shift your weight to your right foot and big step back with the left foot back to lunge. Bring your hands to your right knee. Inhale, stretch your spine nice and long. Right thumb into the right hip. Press that hip back, stretching your spine out of the hips. Inhale, the left arm can lift up. Exhale, the left arm across the right leg. Now, if you don't like that twist, you can always bring the left hand to the ground. And then, with the left palm facing up to the sky, right hand stacks on top. Try to keep your hips facing the ground here and twisting from higher up on the back. Breathe. And then go ahead and turn back down. Press strongly through that right foot. Step the left foot forward. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Shift the weight into your left foot. Right foot goes back. Hands to that left knee. Inhale, stretch the spine long. Left thumb into that left hip, pressing that hip back. Right arm can stretch out of the hips. And then exhale, right elbow can cross over the leg. If you prefer a hand on the ground and twisting here, that is beautiful. So wherever you're at, if you want two hands together here, take a moment, turn your hips towards the ground, and then see if you can keep the hips facing down and twisting up higher on the back, turning, twisting toward the left. Breathing here. And even in this position, the shoulders aren't hunching forward. There's broadening through the chest. The shoulder blades gently hug together on the back. Then exhale, go ahead and unwind and step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Inhale, shoulders forward over the wrist, plank pose. Keeping that core hugging in. Exhale, lower the knees down, point your toes. And then inhale, we're going to slide the hips forward as the shoulders move back. Exhale, lift the hips back up. Inhale, slide the hips forward and down. Or slide the hips, and shoulders forward and back. Exhale, and lift the hips back up. Inhale, hips move forward and down. Shoulders move back, core is still engaged, and then with your shoulders on the back, bend the elbows lower to your belly. Press the hips up to the earth here. Feel those lower ribs hugging in and up, and feel the shoulders moving towards each other on the back. From the low ribs hugging in and up, from the core engaging, start to feel your chest lifting up, and then pulling the chest out of the hips, shoulders staying on the back. Only lift up as high as comfortable for you. Someplace where you can hold. Breathe. Stretching actively back through the legs, and then exhale, lower back down, and come into a child's pose. Nice full deep breaths. Okay. Inhale up to all fours. Exhale, shoulders on the back. Inhale, left leg stretches back behind you. And now left knee towards the right armpit. Inhale, left leg stretches long. Exhale, left knee towards the right armpit. Inhale, left leg stretches long. Exhale, left knee towards the right armpit. Go ahead, lower the left leg down, second side. Inhale, right leg stretches long. Exhale, right knee towards the left armpit. Inhale, right leg stretches long. Exhale, knee towards the left armpit. Inhale, right leg stretches long. Exhale, knee towards the left armpit. Go ahead and lower that knee down. Inhale, up to all fours. Exhale, just pressing down to the front of the hands more. And then inhale, see if you can lift the left wrist up off the ground. You could even come to fingertips. You might have to shift into the right hand a bit. That's fine. Exhale, lower back down. And then maybe shifting the weight into the left a little bit. See if you can lift the right wrist up, come up to the right fingertips. Exhale, lower back down. And then see if you can lift the left wrist up. Lean the weight back into the hand. See what that feels like. Lower back down. See if you can lift the right wrist up. Lean the weight back into that hand. Lower back down. Lift up the left wrist and maybe the right wrist too. Breathing here, maybe playing with down dog on fingertips or ridge tops. Ridge tops is when the fingers are down, but you're just lifting up the wrist. Breathe wherever you're at. And then inhale, the right leg lifts up high. Exhale, the right foot forward towards the hands. By the way, if lifting all the way up does not work for you, I just really want you to feel the action, the lift in the back of the hands. From here, right elbow to your right knee. Left toes turn to left heel comes down, left toes turn to the left. Gently pressing that right knee to the right. Lift the left hand up to your hips. And then here, feel the tops of your legs, your hips moving back. Feel the low ribs moving back. Feel the shoulders on the back. Feel the back of the head pressing back, almost like there's a wall behind you. And then you can keep the left hand on the hip, or if you want to, you can stretch it alongside by the ear. Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Lining the head and neck up, maybe turning and looking up towards the sky. Pressing down to the feet, drawing muscularly into the hips. Breathe. And then steadiness through the legs. Inhale, rise up to the torso, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 position. And then exhale, lower the right elbow back to the knee, left hand down, left knee can spin to face the ground, and make your way back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left foot forward, left elbow to the left knee, right heel comes down, and then when you're ready, right hand up. And again, think about your thighs pressing back, the low ribs moving back, the shoulders moving back, and the back of the head with your neck in a nice line moving back. And then right hand, right arm can come to where works for your shoulders. Breathe. And in this position, even still, try to feel the bottom tips of your shoulder blades gently hugging in towards each other on the back. Staying strong through the legs, rising up through the torso, looking over those left fingers. And then lowering the left arm back down, spinning the right knee down, right hand comes down, left hand comes down, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into a plank pose. Exhale, lower the knees to the ground. But this time, as you keep the low ribs hugging in, keep your hips up higher, shoulder blades on the back. And exhale with the elbows staying pretty close to the torso. Go ahead and bend them. The most you're going to bend them is until the shoulders are level to the elbows. And then inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend, but I'm not letting my hips drop this time. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend, holding here, low ribs hugging in. And now, with your next exhale, keep your shoulders where they are. Let the hips drop down. Point the toes. Press the hips into the ground. Low ribs, core engages. Inhale, lifting up to where works for you. Cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Bending and straightening the legs, moving the hips from side to side. And then coming back to center, hips up nice and high. Bend your knees and just do a few little hops in place. And then from here, with that lift, that lightness through the wrist, as if you were going to lift your wrist up off the ground, you're just going to hop the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms come wide, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connect from the hips down into the earth. And then go ahead, open your feet about mat distance width apart. Hands to your hips, press down to the hips, lengthen the spine. Bend your knees as wide apart as your feet, and slowly let the hips move back. So very much like the beginning of the class. And then from here, with your knees bent, the spine fairly long, hips moving back, you can gently let a little rounding coming into the back. And then to straighten the legs, feel the back of your legs and the hips lifting up and your torso staying fairly close to the legs. So if you get pulled off the legs, that might be a sign for you to stop there with the knees bent, or to intentionally lift up away from the legs some and come into a more extended back position. The shoulders, the elbows can move towards each other, your hands can interlace, and then if you want, you can start to stretch the arms off the back. If stretching the arms off the back is an easy action in your body, then think about pulling your elbows a little bit apart from each other. Nice, full, deep breaths. And sometimes I hold this one with straight legs. Other times I keep my knees bent so I can just kind of move around and twist and think of myself like an elephant trunk. And then when you're done, press down to the feet. Nice long spine all the way up. And then turn and face the side. Open the legs nice and wide apart here. We will do very similar actions. So knees a little bit soft. Knees, second, third toes facing forward. Lengthen the spine, moving through the hips, folding forward. And then you can start by bringing the hands to the ground out in front of the shoulders with your knees a little bit bent. Shift the weight into the back of your feet and just really stretch the spine nice and long. A wide-legged downward facing dog up on your fingertips. You can stay here or bring as much weight to the front of the foot as the back. Again, lifting the back of the legs up, the hips up to straighten the legs. And then if you want to, you can walk your hands back and fold in more here. Breathe. And then go ahead and walk your hands back forward, knees a little soft, hands to the hips, nice long spine all the way up. With your knees soft, heel toe, the feet all the way together, shake out the legs. And turn and face the front of the mat. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees deeply, hands on the ground. Maybe walk the feet just a little bit back. Shift the weight towards the front of the hands. Feel that lightness through the wrist. And here, maybe hop the feet back into a downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank pose. Feel free to lower the knees down. Exhale, bend the elbows, hovering chaturanga. And then with the following exhale, shoulders stay high, hips come down. Point your toes, core engages. Inhale up to a cobra. And then exhale back down to your belly, gently rocking the hips from side to side. Come back to center here, propping yourself up on the elbows. Press the hips down, bend your right knee, then crossing the left arm over, lean to the left side, and if you want to, you can grab that right foot. Then you'll bring the right hip back down, press it back down, and stretch the spine out of the hips. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Second side, bend the left knee. Feel free to stay here. Or if you want to, you can lean to the right, cross the right arm over, grabbing that left foot if that feels good for you. Lower the left hip back down. Press the left hip into the ground as you stretch the spine out of the hip. And I'm kicking my foot back into my hand, even though the form is me pulling that foot in towards my hip. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Open your knees outer hip distance width apart. Press down through the hips. Bend both knees. Bring the arms along the sides. And then you can lift up. If the feet are close and you want to grab them, you can. And then you can kick the feet up and back. Nice full deep breaths. Dhanurasana. And exhale, go ahead and release, rocking the hips from side to side. Make your way back into center and come into a child's pose. Nice full deep breaths. Come to sitting with the right leg forward out in front of you and hug the left knee in towards the chest. And have a little bit of space between the right leg and the left leg. Sitting up nice and tall here. And one of the things I want you to see here is I want you to try to get the left knee towards the left armpit. So I want you to feel that position. And then we're going to twist towards the right. So you're going to take the right hand back behind you, the left arm inside the left leg, and you're going to turn to the right, away from the bent knee. Okay. Then turn back forward and see if you can, when you turn back forward, get this left upper arm in front of your left shin. So that's what you're working. If not, you'll stay here. But if you can, then just leaning a bit forward here. This is option one. Or keeping this left shoulder on the back, you're internally rotating the arm, which is a tough position for rotator cuff. So move with caution. And if all of that is comfortable for you and you'd like to bind, you can bind. Okay, inhale, go ahead, unwind, and second side. So hugging the right knee in, sit up nice and tall, turning to the right, and breathe. And then when you're ready, you can work the right arm in front of the right shin if that works for you. By the way, when you're doing this, your right hip might lift up. That's actually okay in this position. There is sometimes internal rotation in some of these poses. That is okay, letting that right knee come in if that feels okay for your hip joint. When you're ready, again, you can stay here, or you can see if you can turn the hand down. Notice how that feels in your shoulder. If it doesn't feel super great, let it go, breathe. And by let it go, I mean don't do it. Breathe. And then inhale, come back up. Both legs forward out in front of you. Hands a little bit in front of the hips. I like to often do this on fingertips because arm lengths vary from person to person. Pressing down through your hands, lengthening the spine, sitting up nice and tall. If this is impossible with you with your legs straight, go ahead and bend your knees or sit on some height. And then make sure your hips can pivot. And again, that might require you to bend your knees. Then pivoting the hips, go ahead and make your way into a gentle forward fold, just grabbing wherever works for you. If you can grab the feet, you often will press the big toe side forward and pull the baby toe side back because most people tend to sickle. And so you're just making sure you're not twisting at the ankle, you're lining up those toes. And then inhale, come back up, slide your hips forward, grab on underneath your thighs, inhale, sit up nice and tall, keep the spine long, lean back, and then floating the feet up, Navasana boat pose. If you'd like to release the arms here, you can. Breathe. And then exhale, release. So you can repeat that, or inhale, lengthen, exhale, lean back, lift the feet up, and straighten the legs. But again, if with the legs straight, if that causes your back to round, then you keep the bend in the knees. And with the legs straight, you can let go again, or you can hold on. And then here, start to slowly lower the legs, trying to keep some of that length in the spine, but your hips will tilt. Coming into a Ardha Navasana, half a boat pose. And then go ahead, come down to the ground, hug the knees into the chest, gently rocking. Come back to center, lower the feet to the ground. Find those natural curves of the back for a moment. Then bring the arms to the side, low ribs engaged. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders up. Notice that makes your back round. Inhale and lower down. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Inhale, lower back down. Now, stretch the arms towards the ceiling. Shoulder blades on the back. Low ribs hugging in. Lift your legs up. Okay. Feet together, knees opening a bit apart. And then from here, again, exhale, lift the head and shoulders up. If you want to, move your knees in towards the armpits. And then inhale, come back out. Exhale, head and shoulders lift up. Knees towards armpit. Come back out. Exhale, head and shoulders lift up. Knees to armpits, holding here. Crane pose on your back. Breathe. And then lowering back down, pausing for a moment here. Just feel the breath moving through you. And then from here, arms reach up, shoulders on back, feet lift up, feet together, knees apart. Exhale, head and shoulders lift up, knees towards armpits, point the toes. And then from here, straightening the left leg. Exhale, left knee back in. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left leg. Inhale, exhale, back in. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, back in. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, back in. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, back in. Hug the knees into the chest, relaxing the head and shoulders down. Gently rock from side to side. And just coming back to center here. Lower the feet to the ground. Hands can be in a T or a cactus position, crossing the right ankle over the left knee, gently pressing that knee away from you. Breathe. Be careful again, though, not to sickle. And then you can walk the left foot over to the left and let both knees fall gently to the right. Okay, inhale, back up to center. Uncross the right ankle. Cross the left ankle over the right knee. Breathe in here, gently pressing that knee away. And then you can walk the right foot to the right and let both knees go to the left. Breathe. Go ahead, unwind. Hug the knees into their chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. If you want to, you can lift head and shoulders up. If you prefer, you can roll front to back. Making your way eventually all the way up to sitting. And then making your way to all fours. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, shoulders on the back. Inhale, downward facing dog. Bending and straightening the legs, moving the hips a little side to side. Then we will open our feet as wide apart as our mat, knees and toes facing forward. Bend your knees, but let the hips lift up high to the sky. Walk your hands back toward your feet, moving into a squat and downward facing dog. So you're pressing the hips back, the knees are bent, and you're getting a lovely hip stretch here. Okay. Then when you're ready from here, go ahead and lengthen the torso back out of the hips, looking at your hands, weight in the front of the hands, and clawing at the floor with the fingernails. So you're pressing the finger pads down, your weight's in the front of the hands. You feel that sensation as though you're going to lift the wrist up. Draw the low ribs in and play with a little hop here. Now, depending on how you feel about things, you can start to do big hops here. But if you're not used to doing handstands away from the wall, you might want to move towards a wall or leave this out. And you can use that to play with a little hop forward. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Breathe. Just take a moment, ground down. You can adjust where you are on the mat if you need to. And then open your feet as wide apart as your mat, turning out through your knees, your toes, hands on the thighs, and gently moving from side to side here. As you feel ready, if it works for your body, you can lower the hips down. Now, if your heels lift up, but you can do a squat, it's always a good idea if you're going to hold the squat to bring your heels up on something. So that's if you're going to stay there for a bit. You want to slide something underneath the heels to let the hip flexors release out some. Okay. Okay, so if crane pose is new for you, it's one of the early arm bounces taught. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you might want a pillow or something in front of your face. So this is called a crash pad, and many people like to do this when they're learning this pose. It's not a bad idea at all. It's actually a really good idea. So that's an option. From here, what we're going to do for this first round is the feet will be about as wide apart as the mat. You'll come into this high squat-like position again, hands on the thighs. And then you'll bring your forearms on the thighs, hands down to the ground. Same actions we've been working. Weight towards the front of the hands, clawing at the floor, leaning forward, starting to shift the weight just into your hands. So you can just here play with coming up to your toes and feeling those hands pressing down. Now, if it's comfortable to hold, you can hold here, looking forward, looking back at your feet tends to have you flip over. And then from here, you can lift the left foot up and try to bring that knee towards the armpit. And then from here, you can do the same thing with the other side. Lift the right foot up, try to bring that knee toward the armpit, and play around there. If this all feels good for you, you can start to wiggle your arms into your legs. Knees either into the armpits or knees a little bit wide. And again, from here, start to play with just toes on the ground, shifting the weight forward into your hands. And then once you feel comfortable, really draw those low ribs in. Maybe lift one foot up, then lower it back down. Maybe lift the other foot up. Maybe lift both feet up. Breathe. Okay. Go ahead and take a rest. So that's option one to get into crane that's often taught. There is an option two, which is one of those things that for some people it's easier, for some people it's harder, so I'm going to do both. Option two usually means that you're comfortable squatting. So if you're comfortable in a squat, if you're comfortable lower, you come into the same hand positions, but you're starting the whole thing lower. Your elbows are bent instead of arms straight, which means it typically requires a bit more strength because you're not stacking your bones. But the same actions, you can lift one foot up and the other foot up, and then from here you might have to play with seeing how it feels to straighten the arms. And then exhale, go ahead and release and come into child's pose. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we were also going to play with Eka Pada Bakasana, one-legged crane pose. So there are, again, two different ways that work really well to come into one-legged crane. And we're going to do one more crane with an optional variation, which preps one of the ways to come into Eka Pada Bakasana, which is come into crane, however works for you. And then from here, you hug your core in a whole lot. You shift the weight to the right, and you lower the left leg down. When you hug in like crazy, you shift the weight to the left, you lower the right knee off the arm. So you bring your knees into center. Okay, breathe. And you could do reps of that, and it's a very, very, very good core strength there. And I'm just going to do one side this way, so I think I'm going to do left leg this way. So, again, and you might want to take a pause and do something else and take a break, but if you want to, you come into crane. You hug in. You shift the weight to the right, left knee drops, lean the chest forward, stretch that left leg back, breathe. Okay, that's one way to come into one-legged crane. And that's a really hard one to talk to while you're teaching on a video, but that's a way to do it. Breathe in here. The other way to play with one-legged crane is from down dog. But again, it's not necessarily the full width downward facing dog. So if you're used to that nice wide downward facing dog, which is lovely to stretch out the low back, but not so great for certain transitions, you might have to come into a much shorter stance. Then from here, inhale the left leg up. Exhale, left knee towards the armpit. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee to armpit. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee to armpit. Leaning forward, hopping that right leg in. Lean forward, lean forward, lean forward, and eventually that right leg might lift up for you. That's the other way to do Ekapada Bakasana. Breathe. So, ways to play with Bakasana and Ekapada Bakasana. But remember, flying does take a lot of work. You take your time, you turn inside, you build solid foundations, and then sometimes you just fly for really short periods of time at first. Okay. I feel like I should do one more crane and center just to kind of balance myself out. So I think I will. So coming back, hands underneath, shift the weight forward, and lifting the feet up. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Come to sitting with the soles of the feet on the ground. And actually just hugging in here, sitting up nice and tall. This is a sitting happy baby pose position, or like a squat position, but sitting. Then go ahead, bring the legs forward, slide them a bit forward. You might want to even straighten just for ease to do this. Cross right ankle over left knee, and then you can walk that left foot back in if that feels good for you. Breathing here. Trying to lengthen the spine, so try not to let the back round so much. You can, if you want to come in deeper, slide hips forward. Make sure you're not sickling. Make sure the ankle's not twisting. And then go ahead and sliding back out. And second side. So left ankle over right knee, bending the right knee. Eye of the needle sitting. You can move the hips in if you want to. And breathe. And come out. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees apart, Baddha Konasana. Pulling up on the shins and trying to bring as much weight to the front of your hips as the back. So in this position, maybe even more than some others, you might notice our tailbones try to tuck under. The weight tries to shift more to the back of the hips. Lengthening down to the front of the body, pressing down to the front of the hips, inner spiraling, however you want to think about that, the legs. And then go ahead and slide your feet forward. And if it feels good for you, gentle forward fold here. Okay, and I'll come back up. Legs straight or bent, but remember, make sure your hips move. Coming into the forward fold here. And then inhale, come back up. And just make your way onto your back however feels good for you. Knees bent, knees outer hip distance width apart, soles of the feet on the ground. Arms along the sides. Feel the natural curves of the back. Hips heavy, shoulders heavy, back of the head heavy. Low back above the hips lifts up a little bit. Neck lifts up a little bit, but low ribs hugging in. Arms by the sides, elbows bent, fingers pointing up to the sky. Wiggle the shoulders underneath you here. Keep the core engaged and only lift the hips up as much as feels good for you. So it's fine to stay in a bridge with the hips only lifting an inch or two off the ground, the chest lifting up, and the hips and chest stretching away from each other. Don't do what I just did. Don't turn your head to the side, by the way. Or you can lift your hips up
higher if that feels good. But the low ribs are still engaged. You're not tucking your hips under so much in this one today. And you're stretching your chest and your hips in two different directions, rooting down through the feet, trying to lengthen out of the front of the body. We've done a lot of contraction through the front of the body. Breathe. If you want to interlace hands behind the back, you can. And then exhale, go ahead, release. We'll do one more bridge, so just take a moment, press the thighs away from you. You can sway. And then coming back, elbows bent, core hugging in, chest lifts up. And then when you're ready, lift the hips up. And it can be a little bit or a lot lifting the hips up. And then you can, if you want to, interlace the hands. But definitely feel the hips and the chest moving away from each other. And length the front of the body. And then exhale, go ahead, release. Hands to the tops of the thighs, gently swing a little side to side. Come back to center, straighten the left leg along the ground. Now if leg straight bothers your knee or the low back, you can bend the knee. If the knee is bent, you're still pressing the hips down and pressing the heel down. So whether the leg is straight or bent, the hips root, the heel roots. Then from here, right leg lifts up, holding on to the back of the right leg if that works for you with your head and shoulders relaxing down. If not, you don't have to hold on to the leg at all. From here, you can press the leg out into your hands and straighten. So again, I want you not to contract the front of the body too much right now. So if you're doing this, it would probably be more effective for you just not to grab the leg and just to move the leg in using your muscles. Or if you have a towel or something, a yoga strap, but this yoga strap can be any piece of fabric, then you can use a strap instead, pressing the leg out into the hands. And then exhale, go ahead and release. And second side. Right knee and toe faces the sky, hips and leg, if possible, root down. If you need to bend the right knee, though, some, you can. Left leg lifts. If it works to hold on to the back of the leg, if you can keep the shoulders and the back of the head down, you can do that. You don't have to hold on to the leg at all. Oh, another option I really like is to instead bring your hand to the front of the thigh and to press the thigh away from you. And that also can feel really good. So if you can't hold on to the back of the leg, I often have people do that one. Press the thigh away, front of the thigh. Breathe. And then go ahead and release. Bend both knees, soles of the feet to the ground, hands to the tops of the thighs. Press the thighs away, gently rocking the hips from side to side. And then from here, go ahead and bring the feet together and let the knees open apart. And maybe you can rest your hands on your thigh and actually press the thighs gently up into the hands. So you're not overstretching, and then press the hands back down into the thighs. But be careful you're not overstretching the groin muscles here, so you're not trying to get the knees all the way down. You're just getting a nice, loving, sweet stretch opening here. Breathe. And then go ahead and stretching the legs forward out in front of you, knees and toes pointing up to the sky, feeling the natural curves of the back, feeling the lower ribs engaging. Stretch the arms up overhead. You can even interlace the hands up overhead if you would like to. And then stretching the legs towards the front of the room, stretching the arms for the back of the room, from that core hugging in, get space through the spine. And we'll finish with Shavasana. So arms by the sides, opening the legs wider apart. You can relax through the legs, letting the legs roll either in or out. And just feeling the earth underneath you. So after a nice flight, rest. Come back to the nest. Come back to inside. Feel yourself supported by the earth, by the floor. And with every exhale, just release into that support. Let your bones feel heavy. Let your skin feel soft. And let yourself let go. And I invite you to stay in Shavasana however long you want, which is why I tend not to run the video till the end of Shavasana. I am going to offer 3 ohms for the end of class. But you can stay here as long as you need to.